Okay, so here's part one of my explanation of why I'm entering the canopy like this on a single rope technique system. And I have a diagram coming up here to show you to explain it a little better. It has a lot of good advantages. Here's a diagram showing the load forces using this single rope technique or static rope technique. I'm anchored to the base of the tree right here, and I have the rope going all the way up through the canopy through multiple crotches, all the way through multiple crotches coming down. And then I'm entering the outer part of the canopy rather than going right up the stem of the tree. I can enter the outer part of the canopy where the branches are weaker and thinner, where they flex more if you go out and walk on these. And I can get out there because this system loads the branches much more efficiently from a mechanical engineering point of view. By having the rope go around and capture all these crotches in a round circular arcing fashion, it causes the load to be directed inwards like this. So all these branches are being pushed in rather than being flexed down like on if I were to enter the canopy like this over one branch on a limb that was horizontal and I'm way out on the limb. That would tweak the limb like this. But see the blue rope? If I entered the tree like that, and I went up that way, I would be tweaking the limb like this. But by capturing the entire tree, by sending this shoot line through and pulling my rope through all these crotches, I'm loading it like this. It's much more efficient. It's a really good idea. I learned this from Jared Aberjana. It was brilliant. About 4 years ago. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with the moving rope system and using a Blake's hitch or a taut line hitch or a zigzag. If you're going to use the moving rope system, of course you want to get a strong attachment point high up in the tree so you have room to pendulum over different parts of the tree. And you could also use the single rope system in a dumb way by going over a single branch and not loading the entire. When you're using the single rope technique, when I'm using it, I try to incorporate as much of the tree as possible, especially if it's a deciduous tree like an oak like this. You want to try to capture as many crotches as possible and go over. That way you're loading, everything's sharing the load and it's pressing the load inward, which is, it's a brilliant system. But sometimes I do like to use the moving rope system and with a Blake's hitch or a taut line hitch or zigzag, whatever you use. But yeah. But that said, you can also use the static rope technique for just ascending into a tall tree. And if you get a really good crotch up high in a tree, you don't have to incorporate the entire crown like I did. The reason why I went over the whole crown like this is I'm working in the outer part of the crown, as you can see here. And that's where I wanted to enter to work on the tree. And by encapsulating the entire crown like that, you get better loading so you can work out where the smaller branches on the outer part of the canopy is, where if you were walking out with a standard moving rope system, you would be flexing the branches down. But it's brilliant how this system works because I can go out where the canopy is thin and the branches are small, and I can work, and I don't have to worry about the load bearing situation as much. I got like 5 really good crotches that I've captured. I would have to slip through and break all of them in order to come down, and it's not going to happen. No way. Now, my audio is not that good when I shot this with my GoPros, but what I'm talking about here and pointing out with my hands is this crotch right over here. You'll see it right there. I should have cleaned it up so it's more visible, but it has like 5 or 6 branches coming out of one cut, where a long time ago that was a heading cut. Somebody just cut the branch off, left a stub, and a bunch of suckers grew out. And they grew out 6 of them. And what you have is a rotten hole right there, which I'll show in other videos I've got coming up, and you'll see that the heading cut is horrible. It causes all these suckers to come out, then you've got a rotten hole that doesn't really compartmentalize fast enough. The rock goes down in. Now you've got all these branches that are at weak attachment points.
Okay.
Here I brought up a rope to lower branches, and also I can use it for speed lining. I'll speed line a few of these out, as you'll see here in a sec. And you can see I also free fall stuff if I got a clear shot and I know I'm not going to hit the house or anything. If it's a safe, clear shot. I call that the ghost line technique. Let it just ride down.
I'll tell you when it's going.
Yeah, I didn't make a relief face cut for this cut. It wasn't really critical. It's a small branch, you know. And I knew it was going to break out where it was going to break out, right in that crotch. It was all planned.
Excellent. Did what it's supposed to do.
And what I probably didn't explain at the beginning of this video is I'm doing major crown reduction on this tree, way beyond what I would normally ever do. We had massive snowstorm up here where I live in the North Bay County, Napa, and trees were coming down on people's houses. This lady had a massive tree on her house, punctured holes in the roof. Other people had entire trees come down. So I'm heading back these trees. People have asked me, I want this tree to never have the potential of it coming down on the house like that. So this is breaking the rules of crown reduction. You want to be minimalistic normally with crown reduction. I'm taking the branches I'm standing on are totally coming off the tree. This tree is getting like 25%, 30% of one side of the crown entirely removed that's over the house. And I know that's extreme, but after seeing a bunch of houses get crushed, I changed my protocol this summer. And yeah.
Okay. Here it goes. Nice.
Now I already had an undercut on this one. That's why it popped off so clean and it didn't rip and tear. I call that pop and drop. When you do your undercut and then you cut right above that undercut and it just pops off, pop and drop. Well, I'm moving around in the canopy for my next positioning for a different part of the tree I'm going to work on. That will be continued in part 2, coming up soon.